IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment, which is basically just a fancy way of saying text editors that you write your code in. I'm starting with this one because these are text editors that are specifically designed to aid in writing code and provide several features to help you do so, such as color-coded syntax. Popular IDEs include VS Code, Sublime Text, and Vim, if you want to be really cool. Trust me, they're a lot better than Notepad. Value. A value is just any information that we use when we're coding. Values are stored inside of a variable, which is then used inside of our programs. We store values inside of variables because it's an easy and consistent way of using our values inside of a program. A variable's value can be changed at any time later in the program, however, which is different than a constant, which has a value that cannot be changed later. There are different types of values, consisting of integers, which are numbers, floats, which are numbers with decimals in them, booleans, which are just true and false values, strings, which are just text, and arrays, which are ordered lists of either the same kind or different kinds of values. Alright, now that you know all the different kinds of information you can store inside of variables, you probably want to actually do something with that information. For this, you will create functions, which in layman's terms are just blocks of code within your program that complete tasks. Once you write the function, it can be reused multiple times. For instance, if you want to print a message based on certain conditions, you can write a function to print that message without you having to check the condition and then manually type in the print command. By using the return keyword, you can send back and store whatever values that were created within the function so that they can be used elsewhere in your code. Functions can also have arguments or parameters passed through them. Arguments are the inputs to a function, allowing you to pass information into it and get different results based on the inputs you provide. When you write the function, the arguments are like empty variables that you build into the function, waiting to be filled in later whenever you want to use the function. Alright, time to move on to something a little more complex. If you've dipped your toes into the tech side of YouTube even just a little bit, you've probably heard of something called object-oriented programming. Objects are pretty much just complex variables or constants that have multiple values, or in this context, fields. These values are referred to as the object's state. Any object that has specific values assigned to it is referred to as an object instance. Classes are templates for creating object instances. For example, you can create a class named Animal with the properties Animal Kingdom and Weight. Then you have subclasses named Snake and Dog with custom attributes. Subclasses can extend a parent class. This is known as polymorphism. It's just a fancy way of saying that you can have some general classes, and then subclasses will be more specific versions of that object type with their own additional unique attributes. Objects can also have functions written within them. In the world of OOP, they're referred to as methods. You can call methods at a later point by typing the object name, a period, and then the name of the method. You'll find that many languages have built-in objects with their own methods that you can call. For example, JavaScript has the math object that allows you to do a lot of useful things. The most common for a beginner would be math.random, a method that makes JavaScript generate a random number between 0 and 1. Or math.round, which rounds out an integer you pass through it as an argument. These terms and concepts are found in pretty much every single programming language. However, the syntax will vary with each language. Syntax is the grammar that each language chooses to use. It's the set of rules that determines which combination of symbols, letters, and numbers the language will recognize, and which ones will give you angry squiggles. Along with the unique syntax, each programming language will have its own list of keywords that allow you to tell the language what you're doing. You've seen a bunch of keywords used in examples throughout this whole video. And don't fret, most programming languages tend to have a lot of these keywords in common. Once you start getting the hang of the basics of programming, you'll quickly realize that programming is all about working smart and not hard, which means that most of the time you'll be making use of other people's code while implementing your own. Pretty much every language is going to have things called packages and libraries. Now these terms are used pretty interchangeably and very loosely, but generally speaking, a package is code written by another developer that you can import and use to help you with a specific task you want to use in your programming. Libraries are imports that have a bunch of built-in functions, objects, and methods that expand the default capabilities of the language you're using. Another massive shortcut that programmers use are called frameworks. Frameworks are exactly what the name implies. They are pre-built coding frameworks that are just waiting for you to fill in your own code. They do a majority of the heavy lifting for you, meaning that if you want to build an app or website, you don't have to code the basic infrastructure from scratch. If you're watching programming YouTube videos, you probably already heard framework names like React, Django, or Ruby on Rails. Well, that's pretty much everything you need to get started. Obviously, this list could go on, but here at PageKey, we deeply believe in teaching others how to teach themselves. With this list of terms, you have almost everything you need to start watching other tutorial videos and start writing your first lines of code. Now get out there and make us proud, champ. If you want some more in-depth tech tutorials that get into the nitty-gritty, check out some of our other videos on the channel. Your support means everything to us. Good luck and happy coding.
A huge thanks to Eric Eaton for his hard work on this video. Eric is a software developer and video editor here at PageKey Solutions. Eric has been doing a bang-up job not only writing code, but also introducing innovational new ideas to improve our video making process. If you want to see more of his work, check out his GitHub at github.com/EricThomasEaton.